Hello, I'm at a customer's house today investigating a rodent infestation they've got in a new addition that was added the summer of this year. I'd like to go over a few of the additions they put into their house. What we have right here is a SolarTech crawl space vent. It's automatic, it's thermostat controlled, and it's non-electric. It's a bimetal strip that runs it. These are really nice parts, and they typically hold in brick really well. Right here we can see bolts that hold on to the brick. You get the vents inside here, and way over in here we have a bimetal strip that expands and contracts and opens the vents when it's hot or when it's cold, and it helps to dry out your crawl space without really even thinking about it. It's a really good product, but a lot of times these will fall out, and mice and snakes and all kinds of other wildlife can get under your house and into your house. With new additions, you have new constructions, new doors. We've got the separate crawl space access door for the new addition right here, and as you can tell, it's really square and the hinges work well. There's no chance mice or any other animals getting in through this door. Most crawl space doors are made just by 2x4s and plywood with some simple hinges, and normally they have some kind of locking system built into them, and that's what we have here in this case. Just a simple plywood, and it's painted and sanded down to give it a finished look, and the jamb itself is made out of 2x4s. Nothing fancy, nothing too complicated to make, but it works fine and serves its purpose well. Whenever you're making doors, you do want to make sure they close flush and are square. That way the seam all the way around has no way to allow for anything that you do not want under your house. Another thing to check around your house is tall weeds. This provides easy access and somewhat of a moisture barrier for ants and rodents to get close to your house, and you don't really want them even close to your house. What we can see right here is that they've not applied a Roundup or any kind of flower bed to make a dry spot between the yard and the house. So we could see stuff right here. We can knock down the weeds and see that there's no real access between the ground and the house. It's just a brick front, and the whole house is brick. The whole addition is brick. So there's no access there for mice or really ants. Upon further inspection around the new addition, discovered one of these SolarTech RAM crawl space vents had come loose. It appears that it was an older vent that I sealed up last year on the original part of the house that the contractor probably used to reuse material in the new construction, and in the new addition it's loose. So you want to check all your crawl space vents to make sure everything is loose or is tight and as working. As we can see here, it looks alright, but just a little bit of force and the whole unit falls out. And that's a major issue. Also, as we come over here to our access pipe, there's certain cracks right around the brick and mortar that need to be filled. Of course, any good handyman or any good homeowner is going to know what great stuff is. This is the standard old-fashioned original formula. They have several different formulas for doors and for windows that won't misshapen your carpentry work around your doors and windows. Since we're working with brick, we're just going with the normal run-of-the-mill cheap stuff, and it'll work. Years ago, I sealed up their house for mice and rodents, and doing so, I sealed up a bunch of their vents. They have SolarTech ram vents all throughout the crawl space of their house, and since most of these were older construction, I had to hammer drill out and realign a lot of the vents. What I'm showing you right here is where we put in aftermarket screws to better suit the mortar joint into the solar vent. And of course, the solar vent, I made sure all of the solar vent internal workings work. So so everything was up to code and would always give them good service. Right now they got a few vines here, and I try to get those vines out, just like this beautiful vine right here. I'm sure they don't want ivy growing up their house. One last thing to check while you're looking for rodent infestations is access points that you've already discovered and addressed before. Anything can happen. It's been 2 years since I last was over here for infestations, and this is a relatively older house. I think it was built in the mid-60s, and for that reason there's been 2 additions, and there's a lot of different things going on with the house everywhere. To the original part of the house, we have iron gates backed with mesh and an old-fashioned vent system. Notice one of these were open, and it's pretty simple to close them, but it's always good to check. Right here we have a basin to prevent water from getting in, and over here we have a really old system, but it works really well. This rod pulls the vent shut, and then it's to let it fall open. It opens the vent. As you can clearly see, these holes are easy access for most rodents to get into. And when I pull it up, you can still see the metal mesh that's back there to prevent rodents from getting in. But through age and deterioration, you've opened up about 100 doors just by opening this vent. So since the rest of the house is well ventilated and all the crawl spaces connect, we're going to just close the vent up and lock it. That way no more mice can get in through this way. And I'll go around and check all the other doors as well.